Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 12th of September 2023. In today's newspaper discussion, we are going to cover those topics that are important for the UPSC prelims and mains exam. So let us now quickly see those list of articles that we are going to cover in today's discussion. Okay. So these are the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's discussion. Alright. So let us start the discussion with the first topic. This topic is one of the most important topic of today's newspaper. It says launch of West Asia Economic Corridor is a historic step. It was said by the Prime Minister of India. So here in the image that we can see, right? So in the image, like on one side we have the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, and on the other side we have the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. So these two leaders have together, let's say, signed signed an agreement, right? Not only these two leaders, but apart from this, many other countries have signed this agreement to establish a West Asia Economic Corridor. So what do we mean by economic corridor? So this is going to be a, let's say, project of roadways, of developing roadways, of connecting, let's say, different ports, right? So this economic corridor will help in transit of goods from one country to another country. From India, we will be able to send our goods, let's say, through Saudi Arabia to many other countries. Okay, so this is going to be a economic connecting project. So this project is a historic step. Why it is historic? Because so far, such a project did not exist. We have earlier heard about, let's say, China's Belt and Road Initiative, which is similar to Silk Road Initiative. So Belt and Road Initiative connects Chinese state, right? It connects China and many like West Asian economies and Europe also. But this particular corridor that we are building along with Saudi Arabia, it's also going to connect, right, India with Saudi Arabia, and it's going to extend it to the European countries also. So it is going to be a project which is going to help in prospering nations, right, in the prosperity of these nations. So the thing is, like, this is a very historic initiative that these leaders have taken together, right? So in this article they have mentioned about the, let's say, the partnership that exists between India and Saudi Arabia. Okay, so that's the thing. So in this article they have mentioned about this, and we are going to see some images also to understand what is the significance of West Asia Economic Corridor. So here, let's say, these are the images to the right side of the screen. So this is India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, which is in short known as West Asia Economic Corridor. So it is going to connect India with Middle East, means it's going to connect India with Saudi Arabia, and through Saudi Arabia we'll be able to connect to the Western countries also, the European countries as well. So this economic corridor, right? So it will have rail routes, it will have sea routes as well. So in this image we see rail routes, sea routes, and through roadways also it is going to connect different countries. And through these corridors, we will be able to ship our exported items. We'll be able to import items from Saudi Arabia and from let's say West Asia and Europe. Okay, so this is the thing. And to this side we can see another image. This image actually showcases those countries, right, that are connected through Belt and Road Initiative. So this Belt and Road Initiative is a separate initiative, and this is a separate initiative. This is India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, which is in short known as West Asia Economic Corridor. But this one is a different one, which is known as One Belt, One Road. Okay, One Belt, One Road Initiative. Okay, One Belt, One Road Initiative. This is also known as Belt and Road Initiative. It is also known as Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, it is known as Belt and Road Initiative. That's the thing. So in this map we can see that it connects let's say like China. It connects China with many countries of the Western Asia. It also connects, let's say like eastern part of the Europe. Similarly, this corridor is going to be an alternative because we want to bypass China. Okay, that's the thing. So with this, let us move to the next topic now quickly. And like we do have a question for you for solving, so you can practice this question. It says, discuss the significance of having a West Asia economic corridor. How will it help the participating countries geopolitically and economically? Okay, so this is a very simple question. You need to write an answer to this question in about 250 words. It is going to be a 15 marker question. So after writing an answer, you can share your answer with me, which is to this email address, which is jahidul@lukmaanias.com. Okay. So you can share your answer to this email address. I'm going to evaluate your answer and share the feedback with you. Okay. So with this, let us move to the next topic. This topic is again important. Why it is important? Because through this topic we are going to understand about the state of food security, or we are going to understand about food insecurity in India. So the name of the topic is Ridding India of Food Insecurity. Okay, Ridding India of Food Insecurity. So let's understand this topic. Ridding India of food insecurity. So this is the second topic for the day. Yeah. So in this article they have mentioned about the state of food security, means like how food security is being tackled in different countries across the world. So in this article the author has cited some of the reports. One of the report is State of Food Security and Nutrition. Okay, one of the report is known as State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World, and this report has been released by Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Okay, so let me write down the name of the report also. This report is very important because you need to remember the name of the report, and also you need to remember the organization that releases this report. Why it is important? It may be asked in the prelims exam directly. So name of the report is State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World. State of Food Security and Nutrition in the world. So this is the name of the report, and this report is released by, okay, which organization releases? It is released by United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. In short, it is known as FAO. So this particular report, which was recently released, it says that more than 74%, okay, greater than 74% of Indian population, right, cannot afford to have a healthy diet. It means that greater than 3/4, okay, greater than 3/4 of Indian population, right, Indian population cannot have a healthy diet, okay, cannot have a healthy diet or food. That's the thing. So what it showcases that, like, there is high prevalence of food insecurity in India. And also not only the author talked about this particular report, but the author has also discussed about many other things. Author has talked about food inflation, okay, food inflation in India. So if I talk about the food inflation in India, presently, like this year, the food inflation is at a rate of 11%. So this 11% annual food inflation is, let's say, like, highest in a decade. This is highest in a decade. This is highest in a decade. Means like this is a very grim picture. So the author says that like in India the inflation rate is going let's say like abnormally high. This is very high, and also like Indian population, like major part of Indian population cannot access a healthy diet for them. They cannot access healthy diet for them. So it showcases that like how, for example, like if we talk about the total population of India, we have around 1,400 million people. 1,400 million means like we have 1.4 billion people in India. And if we talk about this 3/4 of Indian population, if we talk about 3/4 of, okay, 3/4 of like 1.4 billion people, so that's almost equal to 1 billion people. So 1 billion people in India cannot have a healthy diet, which is much more than the population of almost all countries of the world. Means this is except China. So just by, let's say like taking an exception of China, this number of people is more than any other nation in the world. Okay, that's the thing. So these many people are, let's say, staying hungry. They are not able to afford food for themselves. So that's why the author says that like one of the most important economic policy that we need to bring, that economic policy should address the issue of food insecurity. Okay, so that's why the author says that ensuring that Indians have permanent access to a healthy diet is the most important task of economic policy today. Okay, so author is talking about that if we have a new economic policy, okay, if we have a new economic policy, so for that economic policy, what we need to ensure? We need to ensure that food security, right? Food security should be taken care of. Okay, this should be addressed. Okay, food insecurity should be addressed so that like people has food security with them. That's the thing. So this is one of the most important, let's say, articles that actually opens our eye. Like we always think of getting more and more, but like like around 75% of Indian population cannot like afford a healthy diet for themselves. That's a very grim picture for India. Now with this, let us move to this topic. It says Gresham's law. What happens when governments fix currency exchange rates? Okay, so this topic is important from Indian economy point of view. So in this article, we are going to understand about one topic. Okay, we are going to understand about one topic which is related to a concept in economy. This is known as Gresham's law. Gresham's law. This is the name of the topic. Gresham's law. What happens when governments fix currency exchange rate? Okay. What happens when governments fix currency exchange rate? So let's understand about this topic. So to understand this topic, we need to understand that like why we are reading this particular law. So this Gresham's law is a concept in economy. Okay, it's a concept for economy. Means it is important for our GS paper 3 of the mains exam, and this is also important for the prelims exam. Many a times they give some concepts and they talk about like whether it is correctly matched or not. We are also going to solve a question for prelims exam based on this topic and some other topics also. So let's understand what is Gresham's law. So Gresham's law says that like currencies are of different types. For example, if we talk about types of currencies, okay, types of currencies. One type of currency is, let's say, paper currency. Okay, one is paper based currency. Other is, let's say, like those currencies that are commodity based. Okay, other is commodity commodity currency or commodity based currency. So let's understand what is commodity based currency. For example, gold coins, silver coins, okay. These are also currency. Paper currency is considered to be a fiat currency, for example, okay, fiat currency. They hold the same value in an economy, okay, means like if you have a paper or if you have, let's say, gold, so they are considered same because they have a legal backing, okay, there is a legal backing. However, if we talk about commodity based currency, what happens? Commodity based currencies have some underlying value in them. For example, if you have a gold coin, okay, if you have a gold coin, okay, let me just draw this gold coin, or if you have a silver coin, okay, for example, let's say if you have a silver coin. So we have, let's say, different types of coins, gold coin or silver coin. If what happens, the government of the country, so in this case I'll take the example of Sri Lanka. What happened in Sri Lanka? So basically what happened in Sri Lanka, so Sri Lankan government, okay, Sri Lankan government, what they have done, so they have Sri Lankan rupee, okay, Sri Lankan rupee. So I am simply writing SL rupee. So this Sri Lankan rupee, they have pegged, okay, they have pegged it with, okay, they have pegged it with US dollar. Okay, they have pegged it with US dollar. They said that, like, nobody will pay more than, okay, nobody will pay more than, or they have to pay less than 200 Sri Lankan rupee per US dollar, okay, per US dollar, like this. So what they have done, they have pegged the value of Sri Lankan rupee with US dollar. So that is known as, like, this government has fixed the currency exchange rate bilaterally. So this Graham's law, we are now going to understand about Graham's law. What happens if you have fixed your currency with the US currency? What will happen? So if your currency is undervalued, okay, so like we are going to understand Gresham's law, okay. Now what Gresham's law says, Gresham's law says that, like, if you have, let's say, gold currency, or if you have silver currency, and if you are pegging them with external currency, let's say US dollar, and if you have undervalued, okay, if you have undervalued your own currency, right, means if you ask people that, like, you pay more of these currency to get $1, okay, undervaluing means you are undervaluing your thing, you need to pay more of it to get lesser dollar. So in that case, people will not, let's say, tend to do these exchange in the real market. So they will go for, let's say, like, they will go for selling these things in the black market so that they get more money. So if you undervalue your currency, it will lead to wipe out of your currency, okay, your currency is going to be wiped out in the real market. And so this is one of the phenomena. Second, if you overvalue, okay, if you overvalue your currency, what will happen? Let's say if you have overvalued your currency, so now you have to pay lesser amount of this thing to get $1. In that case, people will be willing to purchase, get this particular thing, but however, what will happen, like, people will not be going for exchange, okay. So undervaluing and overvaluing is going to, let's say, like, the currency which is undervalued, that will be wiped out. So in this case, the dollar will be wiped out, means like people will not be exchanging dollar in your own economy, okay. So undervaluing or overvaluing will wipe out the currency which is less valued, okay, currency which is less valued. So this is going to happen. So this is known as Gresham's law, okay. So Gresham's law has said, so the thing is how it can be connected with the step that was taken by the Sri Lankan government is that Sri Lankan government, they have, let's say, fixed the exchange rate, and they have said, like, you do not need to pay more than 200 Sri Lankan rupee to get $1. However, at that value, I mean, like, nobody is giving the dollar to them. So people are willing to, let's say, purchase US dollar in the black market, okay, in the black market, okay, I mean, like, in the black market where they are paying more Sri Lankan rupee. So slowly and gradually the Sri Lankan rupee is going to be going to get wiped out. This is what is being said by the Graham's law. So they say, okay, in the Graham's law, they have mentioned one thing very specifically, that if the price, okay, if the price of a commodity money, okay, of a commodity money goes up, if it increases, okay, it will lead to, what will happen? It will lead to increase in the supply, okay, it will lead to increase in the supply, okay. Means if the price of money goes up, it will lead to increase in the supply of the money in the market. And if the price of a commodity money goes down, means if it decreases, it will also decrease the supply, okay. So in that case, the supply will also get decreased, okay, supply will also get decreased. So this is what is mentioned. So Graham's law basically comes into picture whenever we peg our currency, when we fix the exchange rate, okay. So like there are different types of regimes where we have, let's say, like, you know, like partial, like, you know, this currency exchange. Like in India, we have adopted a kind of mechanism where we do not have a full currency exchange. Means like, you know, we have adopted partial exchange of currency. Means like, you know, not all the money from outside can be exchanged at one go. So there is some limit. So the thing is, like, you know, there are different regimes that are followed. But in Sri Lanka, why they did take this, why they have taken this step, so that the Sri Lankan currency does not devalue beyond a particular level, okay, because the economy was going under turmoil. Nobody had the trust on the Sri Lankan currency because the Sri Lankan economy, I mean, like, they were facing balance of payment crisis. So that's why they have pegged it. However, it does have some repercussions, okay. If you have overvalued your currency, so like, you know, dollar will not be available in your economy because, like, you know, so people will not be willing to give dollar. If you have undervalued your currency, so that will be wiped out from the market because, like, you know, what happens, the market exchange rate is an equilibrium price at which the supply of currency is equal to the demand of the currency, okay. So this market exchange rate, okay, market exchange rate, place market exchange rate is known as equilibrium price, okay, it is equilibrium price, okay, this is equilibrium price. If you do not follow the market exchange rate, so here in Sri Lanka, what happened, Sri Lankan economy, they did not follow market exchange rate. They have pegged the exchange rate with US dollar, okay. So the thing is, like, it's going to take away this, let's say, market dynamics. So in that case, it is going to affect that currency in the long run, okay. So market exchange rate is equilibrium price where the demand and supply are in sync with one another. This is the general case, okay. So in this article, they have talked about this concept, okay. So this is a very good concept.
So there is also another concept mentioned. Thayer's law.
Which one?
So at the last.
Yeah, at the last they have mentioned about Thayer's law. It means, like, you know, this is also connected with this, that good money drives out bad money, okay. This is Thayer's law. So in this article itself, they have mentioned another connected topic, which is Thayer's law. Thayer's law. So what is Thayer's law? They said Thayer's law, this phenomena wherein good money drives out bad is called Thayer's law and is seen as a complement to the Graham's law, okay. So this is complement, means what happens, the good money wipes out, okay, it wipes out bad money. So this is Thayer's law, and this is complementary to the Graham's law, okay, means, like, you know, this Gresham's law, this is complementary to it, okay. We can consider that, like, Graham's law, when it applies later on, means, like, it leads to this situation where good money wipes out the bad money, okay. So in the beginning itself, they have mentioned Graham's law refers to the dictum bad money drives out good, okay, bad money drives out good, but it says good money drives out bad. That's
so
the thing.
Talking about,
yeah,
market exchange rate.
yeah, market exchange, yeah. So that's the thing. So with this, let us quickly see our question. So here they have given three, match the following type. One is Gresham law. Bad money drives out good from the economy, right? Bad money drives out good from the economy. Means what happened in Sri Lankan case? So they have, let's say, pegged. So I'll go this one. Sri Lankan rupee they have pegged with US dollar. So they have said like you need to pay less than 200 Sri Lankan rupee to get $1. So in that case, actual value of Sri Lankan currency is less than this thing, but like they have overvalued this thing. So it is going to drive out the what we say, the good money from the economy. Okay, so this bad money is going to drive out the dollar from the economy. So that's why this bad money drives out good from the economy. This is Gresham's law. Second, Angel's law. With the increase in the income, the proportion of expenditure is spent on food falls. This is also right. Means, for example, let's say one person was earning, 50,000 rupees per month. So out of 50,000 rupees, let's say he was spending 20,000 on food. Okay, 20,000 on food. What happens if he starts earning 1 lakh? If he starts earning 1 lakh, so will he spend 40,000 on food? No, he will not spend 40,000 on food. So like on food, the expenditure that we make, it generally remains same. I mean, like after reaching a particular point, it generally remains same. Okay, so it says with increase in income, if your income is increasing, the proportion of expenditure spent on food falls. Okay, so like the percentage. So earlier you were spending, let's say you were 40% you were investing on food, but now you still, let's say if you spend 20,000 or 30,000, so that will be still lesser than 40%. So that's the thing. This is Angel's law. This is also right. Third, it says Phillips curve, relationship between rate of inflation and inequality. This is wrong. Okay. So this is relationship between inflation and unemployment. So this is wrong. So how many pairs are correctly matched? Only 2 of them are correctly matched. So correct answer would be option B. So with this, we will move to the next topic. This is another topic. It says on China's economic slowdown, right? So this topic, I mean, they talk about the Chinese economy only. However, we are going to understand this particular topic from the Indian perspective. Okay, some people have written some comments like on YouTube video. This screen is very far away from me. I won't be able to see this comment like during the lecture. So maybe later on we will respond to the comments. Thank you so much. Now, this is, let's say this topic says on China's economic slowdown. Now here we are going to understand about China's economy. Okay, China's economy. It is not directly related with Indian economy. However, since China is a neighborhood country of India, so that's why it is important to understand about how their economy is functioning. Okay, so this will help us to understand like how our economy may get impacted because of their economic turmoil. That's one thing. Apart from this, like we will also understand about some Chinese, let's say economic thing. Now what happens like when we talk about an economy, so economy, I mean like how the economy grows. The economy grows when people are doing more exchange in the economy, when there is activity in the economy. So activity in the economy is driven by different factors. One of the factor is investment. It is known as investment led growth. Okay, this is known as investment led growth. Means what happens in China, whatever people earn, more than 50% of their earning, what they do, they save. Okay, in China, people, whatever they are earning, so more than 50% of the earning, they tend to save it. And that saving is, let's say, utilized by the public sector in China. And they utilize in, let's say, some kind of investment projects. So in China, they have, let's say, built so many kind of housing infrastructure. So they have developed a lot of infrastructure in China, and they have also invested in infrastructure projects elsewhere. Means like, in other countries, for example, in Sri Lanka, in many African countries, and in the Belt and Road Initiative. So they have invested a huge amount of money, right, outside China. But the thing is, the expenditure that they have incurred on the investments, means like they have invested a huge amount of money, but they have invested in infrastructure projects, and those infrastructure projects do not give you short term profit directly. So you get the profit, but like you get very less profit over a long period of time. So that's why the Chinese economy is going, let's say, like developing at a slower pace now, because they have already incurred so much expenditure in China. Okay, this is one part of the discussion. Now they say, like in this article, they say that, like, you know, Chinese government has done like, you know, huge amount of investment. It is not giving them, let's say, like, you know, benefit in the short run. But the thing is, like, you know, recently a report was published by China. So it says the economic data coming out of Beijing over the past months indicate that all is not well with the world's second largest economy. Okay, so this is China is world's second largest economy after United States of America. So which was expected to spring back and drive global growth after 3 years of, let's say, like, you know, so in China, the Mr. Xi Jinping, what he has done, he has imposed zero COVID policy. Okay, he has imposed zero COVID policy. Means, I mean, like, you know, people were sent to stringent lockdown and all. From last 3 years it has been happening, because many countries have pointed towards China that, like, you know, they are not addressing the COVID-19 related thing, and they were accused of initiating the COVID thing from China. I mean, like, from one of the places, I think Beijing, so like from one of the places, people say that virus has come from China itself. So that's why Chinese government has taken very stringent measure. So Chinese economy, like, you know, largely has been into a lockdown phase in different regions, because they wanted zero COVID thing. That has also affected the Chinese economy. Okay, that has also affected. Apart from this, figures on August 8 showed that the country suffered its biggest fall in exports in more than 3 years. Okay, so their export has gone down, the exports that they were doing earlier. So these exports have gone down, it has decreased. Okay, the exports has decreased. That's also a reason of economic slowdown. One of the thing is they have invested huge amount. Second is, like, they were largely exporters of different things. In India also, like, you know, we import a huge number of items from China. Earlier we were importing larger number of items from China, but like in India, within India, there is a sentiment against China that, like, you know, you stop using Chinese made goods. Okay, so we do not promote the Chinese made goods. However, the economy, there is economic ties, and import exports keep on happening. So earlier they had 340 billion, but now it is 284 billion in May. So their export has gone down. Third, the growth in China's GDP was fueled by investments, not domestic consumption. While many economies have followed an investment driven model, China's reliance on it was extreme. Okay, so investment was nearly 50% of its GDP, while household consumption was this thing. So they say, like, in India we have consumption led thing, like we invest, but we invest much less as compared to China. So here we have huge amount of consumption in Indian economy. So this is consumption driven economic growth. I mean, like, if a consumer spends some money to purchase something, so the seller gets profited. So they in turn, let's say, you know, increase their businesses. They also, let's say, spend on like, you know, purchasing other things. So this is, let's say, like, we have what? Consumption led growth. But in China they have what? Investment led growth. Okay, that is also good, but like their reliance was very high on investment led growth. Okay, so this is what is mentioned. Okay, so we just need to understand, like, how the Chinese economy is functioning. Now we have another topic. It says US Vietnam warn against threat in South China Sea. So we have earlier discussed about South China Sea. So South China Sea is an important region. So we are going to see where is South China Sea located. Okay, so this is South China Sea basically. Here, like, you know, I have taken two maps. So the map that we see here, okay, so this is known as South China Sea. Okay, it is part of South China Sea. Here again it is like, they have mentioned that this is South China Sea. Why South China Sea is important? Because South China Sea connects different oceans. It connects Indian Ocean with the Pacific Ocean. So through this route, a huge number of vessels pass through. I mean vessels that carry goods. And if we talk about the import and export business, about 95% of the goods that are, let's say, exported to other countries, they are exported through sea routes. All the heavy items are exported through sea routes. So sea routes are very important. Okay, sea routes are very important, and that's why all the countries across the world, they want that there should be free navigation of the let's say, like, merchant vessels, free navigation of those vessels that carry goods. Okay, so that's why the United States of America also takes interest in South China Sea. India also takes interest in South China Sea. All the countries across the world takes interest in South China Sea. They want that there should be free navigation of ships through the South China Sea. And this free navigation of ship is also promoted by our international law, which is known as United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So this UNCLOS, they also promote free navigation. I mean, like, they promote free navigation, and also the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea also talks about rights of the coastal states. Okay, rights of the coastal states. Those countries that has coastal boundaries, they also have certain rights. They have rights over territorial water, they have rights over exclusive economic zone, they do have rights over continental shelf. Okay, so, like, this United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea demarcates about different regions of the sea. So the thing is, according to this sea route, I mean, like, since China has its borders, maritime borders with South China Sea, but the thing is, there are many other countries. For example, Taiwan, we have Philippines, we have Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam. These countries also have rights on the South China Sea because they are also coastal countries. However, what Chinese government has done, they have created artificial islands. Okay, they have created artificial islands in the South China Sea, and these artificial islands, you see, it, let's say, goes over Malaysia, it goes over Indonesia, it goes near to Philippines. And after creating these islands, these are artificial islands, they say that these islands belong to China, and that's why South China Sea also belongs to China, entire region. Okay, so are we understanding the concept? So that's why they say South China Sea also belongs to China. China claims historical rights on the 9-dash line. However, these countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, right? So these countries have filed cases, right, in Permanent Court of Arbitration. So we have a court which is known as PCA, Permanent Court of Arbitration. So the Permanent Court of Arbitration has given a judgment in the year of 2016. And that judgment of the Permanent Court of Arbitration was given against China. So they say that China cannot claim its historical rights over 9-dash line. However, this is a binding, let's say, like, binding decision of the Permanent Court of Arbitration. However, these courts are, let's say, like, competent to give decision, judgment. However, these courts do not have the mechanism to enforce them. So under international law, they do not have mechanism to enforce them. So China did not agree by the decision of the Permanent Court of Arbitration. Okay, and recently Chinese government has released a map, and in that map they have claimed South China Sea to be part of Chinese territory. Okay, so that's why these countries like, Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, right, and United States of America, India, so they are opposing this particular move of China. And recently, soon after attending the G20 summit, the President of the United States of America, Mr. Joe Biden, he has visited Vietnam. After visiting Vietnam, they have together said that, like, the Chinese government should not threat its, let's say, neighborhood countries. Okay, so US and Vietnam, they have warned China against threat in the South China Sea. Okay, so recently some of the maritime vessels, okay, vessels means, like, some of the, let's say, military ships, they have been stationed near Malaysia, near Philippines, near Vietnam. So these countries, I mean, like, these countries are opposing this particular thing, that like Chinese government cannot station their means like, military vessels here, okay. So this is the thing, so this is the issue that is, let's say, happening. So I hope there is clarity on this topic.
Yes. Sir, these artificial islands, they are physically present or?
Physically present, no, physically present,
Okay.
yeah. So their names are also mentioned, I mean, like, there are many islands, artificial islands that they have created, okay.
So there are 9 islands?
No, 9 dash line. So there are some, let's say, some originally present island, and they have created some artificial also, and they have connected them. Some, let's say, natural islands, some artificial islands, they have connected them using 9 dash line.
Okay.
They have drawn a map. They say that this belongs to this area. That's why we say it 9 dash line. And China claims historical rights over it. They say, like, from time immemorial, this region has been ours. Okay, that's the thing. Yeah. So there are Chinese stories also, like we will talk later, maybe after class. So I mean, like, there are historical aspects. I mean, like, China got independence just very recently. I mean, like, soon before India.
Yes, 1946.
Yeah, soon before India. But before that, like,
So I think after 1948.
yeah, means after or before means, like, very near to like Indian independence.
Yes.
But now there is Communist Party, and that time there was war between nationalist and communist. Okay, so there is a story I will talk about after the class. So now this says dystopian future already here. UN official says of climate change. Now we need to understand the concept. What do we mean by dystopian future? Okay. And they have linked this dystopian future with climate change. Dystopian future means a future which is the future which is let's say imaginary. Okay, this future is, one thing is imaginary, and it is injustice prevails. Okay, a future where injustice prevails means all the kind of injustice things, unjust things happen in a future. So a kind of future which is not secure, a kind of future where injustice is being done, a kind of future which is not expected by people. So that kind of future is known as dystopian future. So an official from the United Nations organization has warned, he has said that dystopian future is already here. I mean, like, the thing that we were thinking, in future there will be injustice, climate injustice, there will not be sustainable development, but he says, like, it is already here, and he has said it is led by the climate change that has happened, and climate change is induced by human behavior, by human action. And so this official, he has recently visited, let's say, Saudi Arabia, one of the country he has visited, like, Iraq. So he has visited Iraq basically. So there, I mean, like, let's say, like, nearby a river, there used to be trees. Okay, there used to be trees, and these trees were, let's say, of date. Okay, date tree, palm tree, etc. But now what has happened? Those earlier there were greeneries, but now there is no greenery. Now there is drought. Okay, so this author said that this has not happened naturally. This was because of the human action, and this has caused injustice to the climate. This has caused injustice to the environment. So that's why he said the dystopian future is not very far away. It is already here, and it is caused by human action. So the author has given many such examples, and this person, okay, this person is from the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights. Okay, so he said, like, he was shocked by the nonchalance, means like many people are not willing to take action related to climate change. So he says that we need to take speedier action to address the issue of climate change. Okay, so this is the thing. So is this understood now? So he says we do not need more warnings. The dystopian future is already here. We need urgent action now. Okay, so this is the thing. So these concepts are important so that, like, we understand, like in mains exam, they may frame questions in a manner, they write dystopian. If you don't understand, that will be difficult, right? Then we have a question. It says with reference to G20 summit environmental goals. Okay, G20 summit environmental goals which were adopted during G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration. Consider the following statements. They have given 4 statements. Harnessing and preserving the ocean-based economy, conserving, protecting sustainably, using and restoring ecosystems. So these were the goals that were adopted during the G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration. Okay, so all of these are actually goals that were adopted. So one of the goals says reducing disaster risk and building resilient infrastructure. Second says G20 high level principles on lifestyle for sustainable development. Conserving, protecting, sustainably using and restoring ecosystems. Then harnessing, preserving the ocean based economy. So like yesterday we discussed about ocean economy, I think, right? So these things are part of the leaders declaration, G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration. So how many of the above statements are correct? All of them are correct basically. Okay, so more like the explanation is more important than the question, because in the explanation you will understand about what do we mean by harnessing and preserving the ocean based economy. Okay, so the leaders during the leaders declaration they have welcomed Chennai high level principles for sustainable and resilient blue or ocean based economy. They have also adopted the new international legally binding instrument under UN Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. So these things, I mean like all those 4 goals have been let's say explained here. So you can go through the explanation to understand about those goals that were adopted. Then it says India's movement. Okay, why it is India's movement? Because the G20 that was conducted in India. So India holds the presidency of G20. Okay, India holds the presidency of G20, right? Of G20. So many people did not believe that India will be able to come up with a joint declaration. Okay, many people were doubting the capability of our negotiators, but our negotiators have negotiated with Russia, China, and they have also negotiated with the Western countries like USA and European Union. I mean like Western countries they have negotiated. After negotiating, they have come up with a declaration which is, let's say, acceptable to all, and this talks about the, let's say, diplomatic the kind of strength that we have, the diplomatic strength of India. So in this article they have mentioned about that this was India's movement, because India was able to bring together all contrasting parties, right? And these parties have accepted the declaration that we have launched. Okay, so this is the thing. In this article they have talked about that we have followed the middle path. Okay, India has followed the middle path policy, and this middle path is a concept that we derive from Buddhism. In Buddhism we have the middle path, 8-fold path we have na, Ashtangika Marg. Okay, so we have Ashtangika Marg. So that's the thing. So following the middle path, we have been able to bring together contrasting parties, and we have also brought together the global south, notion of global south. Why it was important? Because in G20 not only global south countries are there are developed countries also. For example, USA, right? We have Japan, we have, let's say, many developed countries who are part of G20, but we have been able to pitch the let's say the issue of global south, and we have brought together the European Union. European Union has more than 50 countries in it, and they are going to be African Union. So African Union is going to join the G20. So that's also a, let's say, great leap forward towards G20. And apart from this, right, we have also launched Global Biofuel Alliance. Okay, so this Global Biofuel Alliance is also mentioned over here in this article. So in this article they have mentioned about, let's say, the positive things of the G20 presidency that India had. Okay, so that's the thing. Now with this we came to another topic. This topic is from Science and Technology. It says Indian Institute of Science develops novel approach to detect kill cancer cells. Okay, so basically, like, in this article they have talked about the method that was developed by Indian Institute of Science to detect cancer cells and to kill cancer cells. And for this, like, they have mentioned that copper sulfide nanoparticles have previously received, okay, attention. So these copper sulfide nanoparticles will be used for diagnosis. Diagnosis means for detection of cancer, okay, copper sulfide nanoparticles. So that will be used. Apart from this, they are going to use, let's say, like, gold thing. Okay, so here, while gold nanoparticles which can be chemically modified to target cancer cells have shown anti-cancer effects. Okay, so basically they have developed a new method, right, for detection and killing of cancerous cells in human bodies. Okay, so they have let's say developed those things. Okay, CT means CT scan, computed tomography. MRI means magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, so these are let's say, like, techniques that are used to detect, okay, to diagnose, right, that are used to detect and diagnose, let's say, some foreign materials into the body, or let's say to diagnose if there is any cancerous cell in the body and all. So that's the thing. So in this article they have mentioned, it will be more clear through the question that we are going to discuss.
Sir, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what are the properties of nanoparticles?
Properties of nanoparticles. We will discuss about it. So I'm just addressing a question. This question talks about properties of nanoparticles. So one of the property of nanoparticle is size dependent property. Okay, size dependent property. What do we mean by this? For example, there is a bulk material, and if this material is converted into nanoparticle, okay, if this is converted into nanoparticle, so the thing is, its property, the property of the same material which was bulk and now nanoparticle, this property will be different. Okay, this property will be different. So it showcases size dependent property. Nanoparticle showcases size dependent property. So nanoparticles does have, let's say, like, many let's say effect, like, many positive aspects related to it. For example, nanoparticles can be used, right, for magnetic storage. Okay, for magnetic storage. Nanoparticles can be used for magnetic storage, means like you can store information in nanoparticles. Okay, and the nanoparticles can be used for like for other thing. For example, they show property related to light. For example, LEDs we have. So using nanoparticles you can create something related to light, luminescence. Okay, that showcases property much better than any other material. So if I talk about the size dependent property, so what happens, like, if we keep on reducing the size of a material, let's say if we keep on reducing the size of the material, so what happens, its surface area reduces but its volume, okay, so volume to surface area, so it is known as volume to size or surface area, right. This varies, I mean, like, so it does not vary linearly. Okay, so because of this thing, like, they show different properties. It can be used for many things, like, for diagnosis, for disease diagnosis, nanoparticles are used, right. For magnetic storage it is used. We might have heard about this nano carbon dots, carbon nanotubes.
Yes.
Okay, carbon dots are there, carbon nanotubes are there, and then there are many properties related to nanoparticles. Okay, I have taught this thing earlier, but, like, instantly, like, we do not recall everything. That's the thing. But, like, they showcases much better property than their bulk counterparts, and so that's why there is a research which is going on related to nanoparticles. So we do have the nano mission also. In India we have a mission which is known as nano mission. So this nano mission is for nanoparticles. It is not for the nano car, Tata Nano. So like we have the Tata Nano also, but like this is not that one. So let's talk about this question. It says hybrid nanoparticles made of gold. Hybrid nanoparticles made of gold, copper and copper sulfide can kill cancer cells using heat. Okay. Hybrid nanoparticles made of gold and copper sulfide can kill cancer cells using heat. This is right. These nanoparticles enable cancer cells detection using sound waves. This is also right. Okay. So this is mentioned in the article itself. So both these statements are right, I think, right? So correct answer would be option C. So they're asking about correct answer. Okay. So you can go through the explanation to understand about this article well. Hybrid nanoparticles made of gold and copper sulfide can kill cancer cells using heat, and they have nanoparticles enable detection using sound waves. Okay. So sound waves, we know they are longitudinal waves, right? Sound waves are longitudinal waves. So using sound waves, so they can detect what? Nanoparticles. They can detect cancer. Okay. Then we have another topic. It says India to explore direct listing of businesses on LSE. Hunt. Okay. Basically, what is LSE? LSE stands for London Stock Exchange. Okay. LSE stands for London Stock Exchange. In India, we have National Stock Exchange. We have like Bombay Stock Exchange. Right. In India, we have BSE. We have NSE. Like that. So those companies that are listed, they get listed in these exchanges. Listed means like, they issue their shares, and we as consumers or users, we can invest in these companies by purchasing their shares. We become shareholder, and these companies get huge amount of money for expansion of their businesses, for expansion of verticals of their business. So recently the Finance Minister of India has met her counterpart, okay, Mr. Hunt. He is the Finance Minister from UK. Okay, so she has met, and during the meeting they have talked about the possibility of Indian businesses getting listed in London Stock Exchanges. Means Indian businesses can get listed in Bombay Stock Exchange, but like so after they get listed in Bombay Stock Exchange, so they raise money from Indian let's say like Indian investors. Similarly, if Indian companies get themselves listed in London Stock Exchange, so these Indian companies will be able to raise money from UK people from UK. Okay, so this possibility has been discussed, but before that they want to list, let's say like companies in a kind of exchange which is known as International Financial, so IISc. Okay, so in IISc it is located in Gift City in Gujarat. Okay, so in Gift City they have created this IISc, International Financial Services Center. Okay, this is known as International Financial Services Center, Gift City. So these businesses can initially get listed here. Once they get listed here, means for example, a company which is Indian company, if it wants to raise money, right? If it wants to raise money from Indian investors, from Indian citizens, so they get themselves listed in Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange. But if they want to raise money, Indian companies, they want to raise money from, let's say, outside people from other countries. So how they can get themselves listed? So for that purpose, there is another, let's say like, kind of listing, which is International Financial Services Center. So there they need to get listed initially. Once they get listed over there, so international people, I mean like people from other countries, will be able to invest in that particular company through that particular exchange. So they have talked about the possibility of getting Indian businesses listed in where? London Stock Exchange. This will happen once they get themselves listed over here. So in this article they have discussed this thing. Finance is a very good topic. I mean like it's very interesting topic, definitely. So many people don't understand finance, by the way, but like it's very interesting. So with this, that's all from my side for the day. So thank you so much for all the people who have written their comments. I mean like comments are not readable from my side because the screen is very far away from here. Okay, screen is far away, so that's why I'm not able to read the comments. However, I'm going to go to the screen. I will not be visible, but I'll respond to the comments now. Okay, so Rutu Mane has written Graham's law is principle that states that bad money drives out good and can be applied to the currency market. This is right. So you have written it right, and African Union chairperson said India is superpower ahead of China. That's also right. Okay. So you have mentioned good things in the comment. Thank you so much for joining today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you so much, Rutu.